Guys who did something stupid for a girl, what did you do? I got on my bicycle and rode 18 miles to see my girlfriend. My girlfriend lived 28 miles away. If you haven't done the math yet, my tire popped at 18 miles. So you're the guy in the "my parents aren't home" meme. I knew this guy that was breezing through a 3-year electrotech college course while the rest of us struggled. I tried to talk some sense into him about this girl he was seeing. Left hand raising a finger for each con. 1. She's addicted to crack. 2. Her uncle is in the mob and has a questionable relationship with her. 3. She has a kid. 4. SHE's pressuring you to drop out and support her. 5. You're throwing away your future. Right hand. Pros. 1. She's incredibly hot. He dropped out. Tim, you're an idiot. She crashed her bike going down a paved road, so I did the same to impress her or to make her feel better. I really don't know my reasoning. She landed in the ditch. I did not. Wrote a poem in a Word document and emailed her. In college, an undies PJ party. A girl I was flirting with asked me to flash her my. I did. Drunk me showed her my flaccid. She was not impressed. I still cringe. Everyone wants to see the Hulk. No one cares about Bruce Banner. Not me, but back in middle school a friend of mine did graffiti on the wall of a girl's house in the middle of night, saying he loved her. He misspelled her name. Reminds me of the In-Betweeners. I love you, Carly. Traveled an hour and a half multiple times a week to go see her. She never did the same for me and she eventually ghosted me. It was probably one of the most pathetic and cringy times in my life, but I learned a lot from it. Edit. It's crazy how many replies and DMs I'm getting from both men and women that have experienced almost the exact same thing. Best advice I have for anyone going through this is never go the extra mile for someone who doesn't or wouldn't do the same for you. It's never worth it. Enrolled in the same uni. She stopped talking to me 2 weeks later. I let another kid punch me in the face. It worked. Anyways, a lot of people were asking for context, so I'll give a short version. This kid was trying to impress this girl by trying to start a fight with someone. I know this girl didn't like violence, so I told him that he could punch me in the face but make it look real. The girl saw it and immediately started yelling at him. Then came to see if I was okay, and I spent the rest of the day talking to her and feeling like an absolute genius. We were like 9 years old. Dude I knew. His GF of 3 months breaks up with him before study abroad. He says they can do long distance. She says she wants to enjoy her time and doesn't want to date. She goes to Europe. He empties his bank account to buy a ticket to Europe. He shows up at her apartment. She had given out her address to get care packages from friends, family. She is shocked and freaked out to find him sitting by her front door. She flips out on him and tells him that he cannot stay with her. He had already emptied his bank account, so he spent the next week and a half trying to find places to sleep and finally just staying in the airport until his flight. Things that seem romantic in the movies are not in real life. Knew another dude that drove 14 hours to see his college GF of 2 months at her family's house in New Orleans over fall break. She didn't invite him and he thought she was rude for being upset since he drove so far to see her for the weekend. Her family was freaked out since she was a freshman and had a dude follow her for a 4-day weekend. Back in elementary school, a girl asked me to be her bodyguard. I said yes and got beat up the next break by 5 boys. A girl was leading me on, but also being obvious about it. I was stupidly believing I could change her ways and get her to actually date me. She had revealed she always wanted a giant teddy bear, so for Valentine's Day I bought a giant bear costume from Amazon and like 90 roses. The idea was one for every day I had known her. Creepy and cringy AF looking back. Anyhow, she called me drunk the night before and screamed mean at me, and I finally broke down and told myself she was a person, because she always was terrible to me, and I let myself think I could change that because I was desperate to not be alone. In the end, I created a sign that said free bear hugs and roses for Valentine's and wore the bear suit onto our college campus on Valentine's Day to give away all the roses. It made so many people happy that it was one of the best things I've ever done. So many hugs, and girls were crying because they didn't have to feel so alone on a Commercialized holiday. It was cool. Plus the football players all took a flower and hugged me, which was surprisingly wholesome. This is so awesome. What an amazing way to turn your personal pain and disappointment into a beautiful moment for 90 other people, probably more, given that many of the people who saw it would have smiled and gone about their day happier just for watching it. Getting up from the bleachers to play dodgeball. I tried to pull my sweatpants off while yelling "Let's do this." Ended up yanking off everything, boxes and all. Power move. When I was 20, I was dating a girl my own age and was absolutely in love with her for a while. For Valentine's Day, I brought home a large sheet of cardboard from work and cut it into a giant heart. I bought a red sweatshirt and some various paints, and made my most embarrassing outfit to date. I painted the giant heart red and cut out an oval in the middle. I wrote on the heart, "Will you be mine?" Then wrote Valentine on the shirt. I painted my face red, stuck it through the hole in the cardboard, and then showed up at her job to surprise her. Fortunately, she thought it was cute. So did her gay coworker. Grew my hair long because she asked me to. She stopped going out with me. I kept growing it, and wasn't successful with women until I got it cut. Similar, but no consequences for me. My high school girlfriend got it into her head that I'd look good with my hair dyed her black. My friend, who had a crush on her, latched onto the idea and decided he wanted to do it too. We planned to do it over the weekend. My girlfriend and I never got around to it. Come back Monday. He had done it, loves it, showing it off. Bell rings. We head to class. He splits off, and she grabs me by the arm. He looks ridiculous. This is a bad idea. We are not dyeing your hair. Your friend had a crush on your girlfriend. It was a whole thing. She actually dumped me for him, after I was away from school for a couple weeks due to illness. Then got back with me. Then started spending most of her time with him and another friend of mine who was also into her. Yeah, a whole thing. And yet she and I got back together multiple times over the course of 13 years despite that and her occasional bursts of physical violence. So, hey, there's my stupid story, I guess. Was in a long-distance relationship with her. Flew back for Valentine's Day. Turned up with flowers. To see her through the window, sitting on the lap of her ex. This girl I really liked ages ago didn't really know who I was. I gave her a Wii for her birthday and it was probably the creepiest thing ever to her. I thought it was a surefire way to win her heart. Get married and all that Disney crap. 15-year-old me was stupid. Jumped over a fire pit and ruined my right knee. Doctors were amazed I ever managed to walk, let alone have full use. Still better than half jumping over a fire pit. Did it yesterday, after her telling me she doesn't know what she wants and that she doesn't think she wants a relationship right now. I left flowers on her doorstep with a card thanking her for the fun times we've had. Moved across the country to go to a university near her. She dumped me 4 weeks later. P.S. My life turned out great as a result of my decision to attend this school, so it has a happy ending. In high school, I saw a girl I liked walking with her friend. My genius brain decided I needed to impress her, so I decided skipping backwards and saying some quip would make me noticeable for sure. I started skipping backwards and said better get to class. I attempted to turn around while skipping and almost face planted but caught myself. I ran to class and never spoke to her again. It's crazy to think how if you hadn't flubbed the turn around, you'd be married now. I drive long-haul bus routes. Some dude shows up without luggage one day to travel across the state. Weird. I ask him no bags. No man, I'm going to prison. Have to report for sentencing tomorrow. Oh, yikes. Don't mean to pry. What for? I totally meant to pry because I wasn't about to have some psycho on my bus for 9 hours. Oh, I'm going to prison for this girl. She got caught with a bunch of drugs in her car. I was riding with her. It was gonna be her third strike, so I told the cops they were mine. I love her, man. She'll be waiting for me when I get out, she says. Do I have to pick just one thing? High school. I had a good job where I could work 40 hours a week and go to school. So I had a stupid amount of money and parents who for some reason didn't pay any attention to what I was doing with it. As a senior, I was dating a sophomore, and her mom told her it's not your prom, so I'm not paying for a dress and everything. I ended up spending well over $1,500 on dress, and hair, and makeup, and shoes, and manicure, and a photo shoot, and a custom-made blue topaz pendant with a massive stone I hand-picked to perfectly match the dress she would be wearing. Last time I saw that stone it was on a chain around her best friend's neck after we broke up. College. Girlfriend of several months called me up and was sobbing incoherently. All I could make out between the gulps of breath and wailing was died. Her grandmother was not well, and she and I would go visit her from time to time, so I assumed it was her grandmother that died. I threw my Xbox controller mid-game at my roommate, leaped to my feet and said, "Hey man, I have to go." Once I arrived at her apartment and calmed her down, I managed to ascertain that it was not her grandmother who had died, but her goldfish. She said she wanted to have a funeral for her fish. I was annoyed but determined to compassionately help her cope because obviously that goldfish mattered to her. I recommended she go get cleaned up and take a hot shower to relax. And while she was in there, I called up a couple of my friends, and some of her girlfriends. I had a buddy of mine go to the park at the small campus lake and dig a fish grave. I had her girlfriends take her out to lunch. Then I got the floating carcass out of the bowl, wrapped it in toilet paper, and placed it in a jewelry box coffin. We went and had a full fish funeral with music and people speaking and Psalm chapter 23 by the lake. Afterward, when we were back at her apartment, she said, "I don't know why you did that. We should have just flushed it." We broke up a few weeks later.